Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. I am here with the NSX-R and I'm about to take down Victor. So, as I mentioned in the last video, it takes about 2 to 3 days to earn enough cash to upgrade the car to the point where you're pretty much guaranteed to beat him. Naturally, you still want to make sure you can beat the ladder races, but this time the ladder race is actually pretty close to what he can actually run on the final race. So it's rather risky to barely beat the ladder race and take him on. You want to be able to beat the ladder race with a relatively comfortable margin and then take him down from there. So the other issue is with the NSX-R, when it's not fully restored and you can't tune it, the world record shift pattern doesn't work. Okay, so you're gonna have to play with the settings and the shift patterns based on the available grip, final gear, and everything else. Fortunately, with this, just kind of going into 5th and nitrous with the upgrades that I have no real issue hitting like a 13.9. You need at least a 14.1 or better to really beat him. Now, notice he just ran 15, so that makes you feel like, hey, you know, I have a pretty big margin on him. But the reality is, once he moves past that race and jumps into the final race, there's a big jump in time. You should know that by now, having raced all the other bosses, that there's a nice reduction in the actual time they run from what they run in the 3rd race to when you have to face them and taking it on. Okay, so Victor's Project 7, while it's a tier 5 car, while it's impressive in theory, it's a pretty bad car. Again, relatively useless. You're getting it just to kind of have it. There was a time when this car, which can be tuned to beat Dino, was somewhat useful, but those days are pretty much long gone. At this point in time, these cars are generally not that useful. Alright, so as you can see, I'm pulling on them finally, and this is not as much of a margin as you would think. Even though I ran, what, 13.9? He ran a 14.179. That 14.179 is exactly what he's supposed to run, what he's been running forever and a day. This is why you want to make sure you upgrade this NSX-R enough to the point where you can definitely take him down. This way, you're guaranteed to win the boss car. And that's really the system when it comes to any cars for boss, whether it's Tempest, whether it's this. The trick is knowing what the final time needs to be and getting it done. I mean, that's really it. There's no special technique to this. You basically just do what you have to do and you'll be able to get the boss car. Now, I have now moved up to, wow, interesting. That's a nice glitch, as usual with this game. All kind of funky stuff going on. I certainly don't own that car, or should even have that as a part of the thumbnail. But hey, it is what it is. All right. Now, as soon as that's complete, you're gonna go back and focus on the Supra, right? I was able to do some regulation races. I was able to do some event stuff that basically helped me keep getting these 10,000 cash credit rewards, which, you know, the Supra, unfortunately, is one of the most expensive cars in this game to upgrade. And that is because it's a tier 5. But not only that, it just seems like it's one of those tier 5s that's extra expensive to upgrade on top of everything else. So, fortunately, with Victor being taken down, you're given a nice chunk of income to put towards getting stuff upgraded. And believe me, you're going to burn that up really fast. So once you've done that, once you've had a few level upgrades, what you should do is actually go back and take a look. Without the transmission tuning being available, you're pretty limited in what you can do. And the car is still very slow. Once you have the transmission tuning, then you can get a little better. And beyond that, I've been saving all the elite tuner tokens to focus on upgrading the Supra, trying to get this thing fully elite as quickly as possible. It's still going to be a long trek. So that brings to the point. How early should you go ahead and take this Supra into live racing? Well, I can tell you right now, I've seen no star Supras in live. I've seen 1 star, 2 stars. Bad idea. Those will not do well in live. Unfortunately for you, right now, the key runner getting keys from live is still going to rely most heavily on the tier 1 car, or tier 2 if you're I guess if your 250 GTO is pretty fusioned out and is much more ready, you can always take that in, but your ratio winning to loss is not going to be super good versus, say, with this tier 1, it's almost I wouldn't say it's not possible to lose, but it's very difficult to lose because you're gonna be running mostly bots. The negative to this, of course, is you're not getting much RP, and certainly cash flow is going to be the problem, especially with that hungry tier 5 that wants to eat up your cash really fast for every little upgrade. Cash flow is going to be the problem, right? Now, you can, with the Supra, start opening up some of the regulation races for tier 5. And in fact, after this race, we may go back and do that just to kind of give yourself access to a slightly higher regulation race for cash. But understand that to get the keys, and the keys are still important, right? By the time we beat Shax and get into the rank 40-50 range, we would like to be ready for a milestone crew. And in order to be ready for a milestone crew, you need keys. You need 750 silver keys minimum ready to go for that first season you're with a milestone crew. So you can benefit from the PC car. You're going to still be struggling because you won't have fusions and stuff like that other players that have been playing longer would have. But if you get the PC car, there are crew cups that give a lot of free RP in a sense, and that RP could help you make that crew minimum. Again, even with just map racing and the crew cups with the PC car, even if you don't do the PC cup all the way, even if you just get some RP from the PC cup, you could potentially still meet 500-600k minimums very early in the game with these cars. Now, let's run back. I would like to get these keys, but that can happen later on my own. I'm not gonna make you guys watch me live race for half an hour here. Let's go back and talk about, now that we've opened up the challenge for Shax, where we have some options to go. You have ladder, you have crew battle. Again, your Supra should be at this point ready for Larry Brunel, and certainly maybe even 1 or 2 of the other races. It'll get you right to the gold races for Shax pretty quickly, because I've been building it on the side even as I'm working on the tier 4 car to finish Victor off. Extra cash was in fact pumped into the Supra to try to get this car at least up to par for dealing with some basic stuff. The Supra, of course, same issue as anything else, without the fusions, without the ability to tune it. Right now, you're running it almost like the NSX-R, where you have really no control over how to make it run well. The shift pattern, you kind of have to feel it out. Even though the car dynos say 13.8, it's going to have a bit of a struggle hitting it, unlike later on where it beats dyno very easily. Okay, so we got the we got the video to watch for gas again, and certainly I'm going to do that because I need the gas for free as much as possible, and we'll come right back after we get the gas filled up. All right, I know I said earlier, as soon as I add gas, we're going to come right back. That unfortunately didn't happen. This is actually a day later, and quite a bit of changes since the last part of the video you were watching. But bottom line is, we're moving towards taking down Shax, and at this point, in order to get more access to cash, you want to start setting up the car to take on some of the initial opponents in Shax's line of events. So Donna goes down first. Donna's pretty easy. The Supra being a relatively good car, and considering I was pre-building it, and since we skipped basically a night, some parts delivered, so the car's actually much quicker than when I showed it to you just a few minutes ago. It is now running well into the 13s and doing quite well at beating most of the beginner stuff. I want to open up the regulation because cash is now the issue, right? When it's now doing 12.8, so we're about a second off from where we need to be to take down Shax. But 1 second improvement in this is more or less just upgrades. I don't have a lot of stage 4 upgrades, or even I think I only have one stage 5 upgrades. That's because each upgrade costs something like 200 and 300,000 in cash. So 250k, 240k, 260. So you need $1 million plus to get there. The total cost to upgrade this car, I think if I remember correctly, somewhere around like 7 million. And that's counting putting in fusions, but just getting the upgrades in probably will take you a good 4 or 5 million to get to stage 5. So not a cheap car, okay? And cash has not reached the level yet where you're getting full cash from the smaller events, from live racing. None of that is paying yet. So we need to get the regulation races opened up and the pro level ones, not the basic one, because you want to get whatever cash you can out of that. The other place obviously is the ladder races, which I've already done, and I've already taken down all the ladders that the car is capable of. Of course, I just added another fusion or two, so I might be able to do another run or two in the ladder races. All this adds up to the same thing, right? As long as it pays some kind of cash reward, you want to run it. Unfortunately, the grind kind of starts here, right? Up to this point, it's been pretty straightforward and fast to get to each step to take down the bosses. But starting at Shax, you're starting to get a little more of the actual cash grind that many of us face. So amateur is 10.5 per win, and if I take down Victor Kid, I open up the pro, and the pro regulation should pay 12, and that's basically full payment for tier 5. So once you get to here, you start to make 12,000 cash per race on most of the map stuff, and that's what we expect and want to see. That's only time that grinding the regulation races make any sense is if I'm getting paid at least the full amount under the game for each race for tier 5. If you're only getting 3,000 cash per race, regulation grind is really bad. I mean, especially when you're trying to grind out hundreds of thousands in cash, if not millions. But once you get past Victor Kid, before you even bother with Shax himself, you can now start to get some of the better cash payments out of regulation. Therefore, grinding regulation is now somewhat worthy of your time. And unfortunately, in order to build this Supra further, it's almost a given I'm going to have to start doing this. 11.5, all right, so it's not perfect. 12.5 would be nice, but here I got this race 32 out of 40. Naturally, being a second off from where I need to be, at least, I'm not even going to finish this. Even if you finish race 40, where Victor Kid, race 40 was very close to what he ran. This one, race 40, actually is slower than what Shax is actually going to run. So using the ladder as a gauge works up to tier 4 pretty well, but be careful here in tier 5 not to rely on the fact that you just managed to squeeze past the ladder race that you're going to take down Shax. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that well as far as gauging, so you're going to have to be more careful there. Basically, for Shax anyway, in any case, you want your car to run at least 11.5 or better to be safe, so you don't have a problem taking them down. All right, let me see where we're at here. So I'm doing 12.7 against a 13.0. That means the next race is going to be faster. The other thing is, if you're reading what's going on here, okay, they give you a whole backstory about Jerry being, working for Shax and racing for him and all that stuff, just to kind of set you up to tell you how bad Shax as a person is. And, poor Jerry lost everything, started being a collector. Now he lost all his cars, etc., etc. If you're into the story stuff, read each of the pop-ups after each ladder race. That's really where you get your full, quote, background story from this game. Okay, let me see where we're at here. Shax Industry is some of the hottest cars in the world. To compete, you need stage 6 and a lot of Evo points. Yeah, I mean that's true of the game. A lot of Evo points. Evo points are important per upgrade level. The higher the Evo points at a given upgrade level, the better the car is gonna do. All right, let me see if my free crates came back. Nope, already collected. What about Retro Revival? 12 hours for that. This is 1 hour. Okay, so upgrades are so expensive, right? What's the alternative now to push my car forward? Another option at 30K a pop is to get 2 fusions at a time out of these guys. You buy them, you buy it, and you can watch a video to reduce the delivery time. I usually do watch them because if I can get delivery quickly, I will take it. Sometimes it'll fail, like when it does this where it's doing the loading, it's probably gonna fail. In which case, we'll just forget about it and see video unavailable. That's probably because I watched a lot of videos already. I've been, yeah. So it says loading ad, please wait. Now, interestingly, if you keep clicking every few seconds, right, you just kind of wait and give it. It actually loads. Whoops. Okay. Well, we're not gonna watch that, but we'll come back. All right, so here I reached my daily limit of requesting ads. So, okay. So we're going to have to wait for this one to deliver in 30 minutes. Again, these tier 1s deliver pretty fast, 30K a pop. It becomes kind of a weighing your options deal here. Do I want to focus on saving enough cash right away to get more stages? Or do I have enough fusion slots already opened up that I can just take some, take some time and get those fusion slots filled out by stripping cars? Do both. A combination of both will allow you to kind of reach forward and meet your needs as far as hitting those times. You're going to need fusions anyway. You're going to need elite levels. You're going to need all that stuff for this car regardless. So you might as well work at it from every angle instead of just focusing on one end. People keep confusing maxing out a car with having full stage 5 upgrades. That means nothing. You can have full stage 6 upgrades with no fusions and the car's still going to be slow. It's still going to perform poorly. A fully maxed car is one that has all stage 6s and all fusion slots filled. That's the big one. The fusion slots have to be filled for it to be truly a fully maxed car. So when newer players come to me and say, hey, I maxed the car and it sucks, I said, well, did you have all the fusions? And now I'm missing a lot of fusions. Well, you don't have it fully maxed. That's why it's probably not very good. That and the fact that majority of the cars in the game really are not very good, even with full fusions and everything else. But the Supra is actually pretty good. In fact, the fact that you get it for free and the fact that it's the elite tuner car, it gets really high. Second, I think only to the McLaren F1 as far as RP gains as it gets fully elited. There are a lot of positives about this car. The negative is people jump into live too early with them and kill them, right? Then you have to reset the car. You got to bump them back down to make it competitive. Not worth it. I mean, the idea is that you definitely want tier 5 car in live, especially after you finish with Shax and you join a milestone crew. But having too early, too underdeveloped a car jumping into live too early is actually going to hurt the car and hurt your ability to maintain that car as a viable live racer. So I wouldn't recommend you to rush in with the Supra, which really needs its elite levels before it can shine in live, plus fusions, right? And tier 5 cars, you're talking about a lot of fusions, 135 fusions of various types, and the epic fusions are extremely hard to get. In fact, you cannot strip those little Toyotas and get epic fusions at all. That's going to be a crate drop. So bronze keys are going to come into play, or when the time comes, other event stuff that gives crates for the Supra. So epic fusion is going to take a while, but green and blue, you could fill this car up very quickly using those tier 1 cars, and you should definitely get it filled up so that you're only waiting on the epic fusions. In the meantime, work towards upgrading the car to all stage 6s and upgrading the car to full elite 35. Once you get there, then you're going to backtrack and actually set up the car for live, because fully maxed, full fusion, fully maxed, fully elite, while the car is pretty decently quick at 6.9s, it's not really competitive. You want the car in a lobby that's competitive in live, which means you don't actually need it fully upgraded. You can, actually go back and just do it with minimal upgrades and be competitive in live racing. And it still pays good RP, it still pays cash, so that's accomplishing all the goals that you normally would want from the car anyway. All right. So while we're talking, I am running through some of the Elite Tuner event to get as far as I can without the 3 stars. I'm going to be stuck soon because there's a requirement for 3 stars for the next race, I think. But what I was looking for is this. Okay. That nice chunk of cash that I need to build my car. Looks a bit too commonplace. Increases star rating. Yeah, that's the issue. But the star rating requires you to have that, and I don't have enough of that to do the stars. So I'm kind of stuck right now on the Elite Tuner side. What they want you to do is to get to here, 15. I'm at 13, but I need 350, and I have 0. Right? And then you're going to need more here and more here. So you're going to probably need about 1,000 of these to get to that star part. And unfortunately, I just don't have the parts there for that. But what I do have is enough cash to upgrade the car some more. In fact, I can put stage 5 trans in, or body in, or stage 4 tire in. I'm going to do the cheaper stages and get them in first, rather than worrying about pushing the higher expensive stages. This will leave me enough cash to still buy another car, and all this will slowly but surely push the car towards better performance. Each time you add these parts and fusions, make sure you check your tuning. Usually, a little bit of tweaking can squeeze out just a little more performance out of the car, but not a whole lot. Okay, so wow, that wasn't, I mean, I think it was like 8 something something, so it still improved, but not a whole lot. But here is where you can also play with this now. As you get more parts, you can start increasing the grip on the tire. Before, when I did this, my Evo went down. Now it's going up, and it kind of peaks out at certain grip levels. I can put it to 0 maybe. Nope, still a little too much for that. So 12.659 we got to now. Nice improvement. This can be tweaked, but I don't think, yeah, it helps a little bit. Okay. And we're at 12.633. Each time you get further here, guess what? Back to the ladder races. So this is the back and forth, right? I know I'm stuck here. This is done for now. I don't have the car for that. That's done. This I can do. It's a service trial, but it requires a tier 4 car, and it requires tire upgrades. Now, the only car I have that can do that is this guy or this guy. Now, I don't want to use Kurt's Mustang because it's kind of slow, and this one is probably better anyway for this. So I'm going to use this when I do the service trial. And the beauty of doing it is I don't need the tokens. I'm not in a crew yet, but cash. Okay, so I am going to run that. By switching to the NSX-R, I kind of screwed up my setup for going after the ladder races. Let's go back out. So back to the ladder again. 12.6 might get me another race or two through here, but it escalates pretty fast from there, and you're gonna need 11s. I mean, that's 11.5, 11.6 guaranteed runs, meaning if your car dynos 11.7, 11.8, it should be able to do that, because this car does beat dyno, depending on what the upgrade level is, of course, fusions, etc, etc. Wow, I'm actually gonna lose this? Really? Come on, come on. All right, there we go. At least I eked out a win on that one. 12.608. I could probably run a little faster than that. The next one is saying challenging, but most likely I'm going to lose it. since I'm watching ads for fuel, every fuel expenditure is important. So I'm not going to risk wasting fuel for a race that I can't win. Which kind of brings us back to here. We can start doing this for cash, okay? Or go ahead and start running this first and get through this. So I'm gonna do this. Now, obviously at this point, you're just gonna be watching me run more map stuff and going back to live with my T1 until we get to the point where we're ready for Shax. So I'm gonna call it here for this video. We're gonna come back when I'm actually taking down Shax, and then we'll watch where the Supra is at that point. Once that's done, once I take down Shax, I'm gonna go back and focus for the remainder of this season and possibly a whole next season, which is a week and a half, 2 weeks, on getting silver keys. And then I'm gonna join one of my crews with this account so I can start really showing you guys the benefits and the way to progress quickly by joining a milestone crew. But you don't want to join a crew and be a liability. So first things first, you have to get yourself ready before you join the crew. And we'll come back for that stuff in the next part of the Veteran Noob's Adventures in CSR 2. I hope you like this video. If you like it, please leave a like. If you like my channel and you like this series or other videos, subscribe, hit the bell, and you get notified when I put out new videos. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you next time.